In these life-serving podcasts, Bhashkar Perinchery answers questions from everyone seeking pragmatic and effective solutions regarding emotional and energetic challenges, holistic health, and the inner journey.
Do you have any question? Questions can be asked over Spotify or can be sent as voice message over the podcast webpage.
Any questions? So if no questions are there, then one thing I would like to bring the attention to, that is making it conscious to oneself. What is the need to bring the awareness in life? What is the need to stay with the initiative? What is the need to take up the commitment and be with that commitment? It is very simple. When one can really admit to oneself that there are these two dimensions we are dancing with. One is the dimension of illusion, the dualistic world. And the other is the dimension of the reality, which is the essence, which is non-dualistic. And all our idea of ourselves, who we are, what we are, and that what we live in the game of the world, howsoever fascinating it is, howsoever so significant and beautiful it is, you cannot settle with that. Everything is going on changing. Your body, your thoughts, your feelings, your energy process, your surroundings, the people whom you know, the world, the society, everything is going on changing. And the more challenging factor is to also recognize and admit that everyone who is born has to die. What in the first look appears to be something very tragic, in our inquiry into the nature of the life, we can see it in a different light. We can come to recognize that all what is in the manifestation of life, including birth and death, is coming from that source, from that intelligence, from that caring, compassionate basis. So unless it becomes conscious to us, unless we become familiar with the deeper non-dualistic dimension while we are still in the game of the world, we are always in a struggling process. We are always imagining as if anything which is uncomfortable, anything which is problematic, anything which is dangerous should not be there. It's as if it's all such an unnecessary disturbance. And in the unconscious way of going about, we are in a fighting mood, defending, struggling, complaining, bitter, disappointed, sad, which is all human. But we have to courageously look and admit the fact that in the way of the reality, We come with nothing, we go with nothing. And the beautiful thing what one will come in the process of inquiry is the realization that it is the fragility of life, it is the vulnerability which we can live and we need to understand what makes everything in life so precious. It is understanding the nature of the mind and the nature of all our ideals. It is understandable in a simple way. When you have a certain kind of sweet which you like, and it is not easily available, it's very rare. So when you find it, when you get it, you are so happy about it. But imagine something changes and it happens that you have the sweets almost dumped into your house, so much so that you are fed up from having it. You cannot look at it anymore. Then you realize how relative everything is. It is the preciousness, it is the fact that things are there for a while and it won't be there. It is the aspect of death which is in everywhere to be seen and felt, which makes life so precious. It gives us the understanding to live life without taking anything for granted. Otherwise, the way our mind works, when things are there available in plenty, you don't take it into consideration, you don't think it is precious. We can see it now in the present situation in the world. We are drinking water, just you open the tap, put a glass underneath and you can drink it. But there are certain areas where due to war or due to some natural catastrophe or areas where it is a desert, you don't have water. You don't have drinking water available so easily. You have to consider it, how to get it. And if you find water, to check if it is drinkable. And there can be all kind of problems arising when you have not the right kind of drinking water. So, our connection to everything changes according to how our mind is perceiving it. When you realize that everything what you have, everything what we are taking normally for granted is precious, is a present. And everything can change every moment. Everything can be lost every moment. The death can come any moment. Then you realize, oh, what a blessing. How important it is to live this moment with the remembrance, with the wakefulness that we are not taking it all for granted. With the remembrance, with the gracefulness that it's all a present. You cannot claim that I deserve it. There's nothing we can claim. Everything what we have in a more careful and courageous observation, you find it is all a present. And it's interesting in English, these words both for the moment, it is present, and for the gift, it is also called present. In fact, to be with the present makes you aware of the present that life is, the blessing that life is. And without a conscious remembrance of all these aspects, we are going about life like in some kind of intoxication, like in a state of hypnotic sleep. We take so many things for granted. We react automatically, carelessly, not recognizing that often our reactions are just not right, not coming from the understanding, not coming from the right insight or sensibility. The more you consider, the more you realize that we are blessed to be in this body, to be in this life process, to be on this planet, to be with all these challenges which are there. Because through all that, on one side it looks like danger and problem, but it also reminds us how valuable it is that we understand it all in the right way. How valuable it is that we live with the remembrance. How significant it is that we don't forget that everything is part of the wonder. Everything is a present. It is waking up to this deeper insight into the reality, what the real awakening is, rather than going in a certain kind of slumber, a kind of somnambulism. We have to, from within, shake ourselves up. And that's what one is doing when one is again and again taking time to bring oneself to the present, taking time just to be without any engagement, just to be open to allow silence, without seeking any engagement, without going into any role, without going into any distraction. Then you realize that we are blessed and all what we seek, all what we need is basically given. And what we need for the body, for the personality to be in the game, we have to be behind it. We have to seek. We have to find ways to get it together. And that is also keeping us alive. If everything is spoon-fed, everything is provided, then after a while you will feel that I am not required to be here because everything is running so well. But when you have challenges, when you have difficulties, when you have things to solve, when you have to use your fantasy, when you have to be with your intelligence, when you have to consider, when you have to interact with others, then you realize, oh, you can do the right thing, you can also do the wrong thing. You can become loving or you can also be like a robot. So bringing awareness in life means disentangling yourself from this inner automatism consciously, so that you are in touch not only with the apparent aspect of reality, but also with the deeper facts of reality. And this is what makes a human being truly human and reveal the blessedness of life. So until and unless you are deep within having a feeling of gratitude and joy and feel blessed, you have not yet looked deep enough. That is why it is said, continue to seek, continue to inquire, continue to confront the reality, wakefully, honestly, courageously. And that brings about the whole transformation in our understanding, in our way of going about life, in our connection to each other, in our perception of reality. So recognize that without a deliberate, conscious, persistent initiative, the automatism is overtaking and drags you into certain kind of mechanical blind reactions, which unconsciously overtakes your whole reality, whole life, whole connections. It is through bringing the alertness and turning the attention to consider the deeper aspects of reality that we become awake to see and experience what it really is. That is what is meant when it is said that seek the truth and all else shall be given unto you. Because in the awareness of what really is, in awakening to the truth, you start realizing the whole beauty, the whole wonder, the whole love and compassion which is behind the whole creation. And that is what makes us so deeply fulfilled and make us free from all entanglement in darkness, in fear, in conflict. We as a human being can and need to allow this awareness of the reality. Without our conscious effort and ongoing inquiry, we tend to slip again and again back into misunderstandings and blind projections. So suffering is part of a deeper misunderstanding. In a deeper sense, when you look carefully, there is, on the dualistic level, situations where it is creating pain and difficulties. But the suffering is an ongoing mental process where we are not responding to the challenges, but we are almost in a complaining, disappointed, bitter, angry mood. And that is a misunderstanding. That is why I remind, bring attention, reconsider consciously what reality is, who you are. Bring your attention to the moment, to all that what is transpiring in you without identifying with it. And this is the most delicate aspect. When you can be in touch with all that what is taking place in you, you are in touch with both the dimensions. Your mind is not focusing and limiting yourself only to the apparent reality, but it is also connecting to that what is undercurrently going on in you. And when you are not identifying with it, when you are not taking sides, you are beginning to relax and get closer to the wholeness of the reality, the non-dualistic dimension of the reality. So in a way, you are in the world, but you don't let yourself get drowned in the world. So those who understand, those who sincerely want to get clear and free, I recommend bring this into practice. That is the meaning of life surfing. It's a playful way of going about life, where you are sincere, you are wholehearted, but at the same time, you don't go into a fighting approach. You don't go into the usual judgments and believe that the way it appears to you is the reality. Through your wakefulness, through your presence, you start seeing that there's a projection, there is an idea of reality which we are carrying and playing around with, and there is another dimension which we know is there, but we become more attuned, we become more familiar as we allow the deepening of consciousness. So in this sense, live life surfing. It is not just a concept or philosophy just to carry in the head. It's an understanding to be lived.
A lot more questions to be answered.
Right after this.
You are listening to the Life Surfing Podcast on Spotify.
Did you already know that besides the life surfing seminars, workshops, and talks, you can also book individual sessions with Bhashkar directly in person or over Zoom?
For that, please contact Nora under the email address or over the phone 0497617-09665. In case you want to write an email, you find the email address in the podcast description.
Welcome back to the Life Surfing Podcast. We continue with some more questions.
If any questions are still there in anyone from here or from elsewhere, we can take some time for that. But if no questions are there, we sit the next half hour allowing the silence, not trying to achieve anything, not trying to reach somewhere, not trying to manage anything, but just the remembrance to be wakeful, to be intensely present, and let all that what is taking place in you become as much conscious to you as possible. Not only the obvious and apparent aspects, but also what is going on undercurrently. The fears, the thoughts of insecurity, calculations, the whole identification, the whole judgments which are going on. Let everything become as much transparent to yourself. With this orientation, with closed eyes, we see the next half hour.
The Life Surfing Podcast will be back next week. In the meantime, make sure that you're following us right here on Spotify.